Thank you, Nat. Welcome to the Lusail Iconic Stadium, the biggest of the 8 venues in Qatar, and scene, potentially, of one of the biggest farewells. Whilst Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup career could yet be extended to the most glorious of goodbyes here a week on Sunday, such is the jeopardy of tournament football that he will have disembarked the coach in the bowels in the stadium, knowing that, conceivably, this could be the night. 5 World Cup campaigns, a figure that's unsurpassed, but does it all end here, amongst the decor and opulence of Lusail? Nearly 90,000 are here tonight, so many of them to see him. The news of his omission from the 11 sending a buzz around the ground when it was announced. For 3 hours, many of those fans have been sat in their seats that stretch high into the Qatari sky underneath the sweeping blue neon parabolic curve that sits ribbon-like above the top row. And that curve, a fitting analogy for the man's career itself, navigating a sharp gradient to a point higher than you can conceive before a fall, gentle at first, that gathers pace as the descent continues. But if an architectural blueprint demands a smooth conclusion, real life doesn't operate under the same constraints, the occasional jagged dissenting edge increasingly visible in recent months. So will the final part of the building project yet reach the highest pinnacle of them all? Or will tonight represent a sheer drop, an unseemly, unsightly, blemished end? Well, the starting 11 for Portugal is also without Neves and Cancelo, both on the bench. Diogo Costa's in goal. Dalot, Pepe, who becomes the oldest ever outfield player in a World Cup knockout match, Ruben Dias and Guerrero, Bernardo Silva, William Carvalho and Otavio, Bruno Fernandes, Gonzalo Ramos and Joao Felix. And if he comes on, Ronaldo will win his 195th cap tonight, just one short of the all-time international record. Well, Switzerland stand before what for them has been an insurmountable hurdle. 4 times in the modern era they've reached the round of 16. They've lost this tie every time. They've got Sommer back in goal replacing Kobel, Fernandes, Scherer, Kanji and Rodriguez, Freuler and Xhaka, Shaqiri, So and Vargas, and Mbola. Well, we're underway. And he's a man who always in centre stage, even when he starts the night waiting in the wings. On a day when the tournament of shocks has taken another scalp, will tonight be Ronaldo's World Cup swan song, or will Portugal lead the Swiss floundering at this hurdle yet again to book a quarter-final tie with Morocco and give Ronaldo more World Cup miles on the clock? Switzerland in their change kit of all white, defending the end away to our left-hand side, and Portugal in their traditional red and green shirts, and they're kicking from right to left as we look at it. Early possession for the Portuguese and for their goalkeeper Diogo Costa, finding Pepe. We've looked very hard to find the next pro older than Pepe. Good evening to Stuart Pearce.
I can't believe the cheek of the fella. Unbelievable. And a good evening to you, Jim. You've certainly found one a lot older, that is for sure.
I've got 10 years on him as well, so don't worry about that, but it's a good effort at 39 and 9 months to be playing World Cup knockout football. And he's taking his place at centre-half tonight alongside Ruben Dias of Manchester City. What are your thoughts? You've had an hour and a half or so to just contemplate the Ronaldo omission. What is your gut feeling that it is just match management and that we'll see him for half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe 60 or 70 if the game goes to extra time?
I think it's a bit of both. I think he probably needs to be left out, and also as well he can offer punch and it might just stimulate him off the bench to deliver a performance. But I think Portugal in general have got to deliver a performance in today's game. I think they've sort of ticked along under the radar, and I don't think anyone overly fancies them. They've got an opportunity today to say, right, we're here to have a go at winning it, by the way.
The ball has been pulled back for Joao Felix towards the edge of the penalty area. Bruno Fernandes trying to take a touch. It was a heavy one, allowing the Swiss to clear. Makes a match you would anticipate that Portugal are going to have probably 2/3, maybe slightly higher possession. They might not necessarily create a stack of chances for that from the start. They've beaten Ghana 3-2 and Uruguay 2-0 to get this far, but still won the group despite losing 2-1 with a much changed side going down to South Korea, a game that they led early on but ended up losing. For Switzerland, 1-0 victory against Cameroon. They lost to Brazil by the same scoreline and then edged out Serbia in a thriller by 3-2 to end up finishing second in their group. There was plenty of jeopardy on that one late on. but they survived and made it through. Here's Akanji playing at centre-half, another Manchester City centre-half on view tonight, playing for Switzerland. And Mbolo's just had a little collision there with Ruben Dias and has gone down holding his face. He's fallen over the touchline. He's right in front of the assistant referee, and no hint from him that there was any foul play. Play will restart with a throw, but Mbolo's going to need a little bit of treatment from the Portuguese medical staff off the field before play is allowed to continue.
Yeah, he just seemed to run into the back of potentially an elbow or something, and as I say, I'm not overly sure why the game has to be stopped really. He's off the pitch, he's up, he's alright, he just wants to make a point that there was some sort of physical contact there. And I think there's been a feature of the World Cup, it's not stopped for head injuries anymore, Jim, you know?
So Guerrero's going to take a throw for Portugal. João Felix hooking it over his shoulder. It's returned easily by Fabian Schär. Bounces awkwardly in front of Edmilson Fernandez, who West Ham fans might be surprised to learn is playing these days in club football at centre-half for Mainz, but playing at right back. He's operated as a winger on both flanks in this World Cup, and very briefly for the last few minutes at right back against Brazil. And that's the role that he's taken tonight in the absence of Widmer, who's missing for the Swiss. Had illness going through the camp. They were without Sommer and Elvedi for their most recent game. They're both available tonight. Sommer starting back in goal, but no Widmer this evening. It's Pepe playing it forward towards William Carvalho, and Portugal will get within 10 yards of halfway before it goes out towards Diogo Dalot and straight back for Carvalho again. And now Pepe, his 40th year, laying it back to his goalkeeper. And Diogo Costa is preferred these days to Rui Patricio in goal as first choice Portuguese keeper. Gets it clear over halfway and nodded back by the Swiss towards the edge of the penalty area. And Mbolo will take it on. Now takes a second touch, gets a shot in, and it hits Pepe and goes out of play for the first corner of the night to Switzerland on the left flank with 5 gone at 0-0.
Good opportunity there by Switzerland. The ball broke. It was cleared and then bounced straight back to the edge of the box. Then Mbolo picked the ball up. I think he was trying to shoot first off. Opportunity wasn't on, so he's forced a little bit wide, but managed to force the corner and sustain the attack.
He's got a couple of goals in the World Cup already. Gabriel Mbolo, one against the nation of his birth, Cameroon, and he also scored against Serbia last time out. Swiss corner taken short. And played by Rodriguez back out towards the left flank, where a deep cross comes in and it's dealt with after a fashion. And then play breaks down because there's been a foul on Gonzalo, on Otavio, I beg your pardon, just outside the D. That's going to be a free kick which will be taken by Portugal, well inside their own half. Winners of this one play Morocco, Sunday afternoon at 3. And if you're just joining us, haven't heard the news from early today, maybe you've had a late departure from work. Morocco holding Spain to 0-0 after 120 minutes, and then the Spaniards, having hardly created a chance within a couple of hours, didn't put a single penalty kick away in the shootout. Beaten 3-0 on pens. And so Morocco are through to their first ever World Cup quarter-final, and they'll play the winners of this Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Saturday afternoon, I beg your pardon, Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's the precursor to the England game. We've got them both live for you. We've got both of Friday's games live for you as well. Quarterfinals, Croatia against Brazil from 3, and the Netherlands against Argentina with Stuart as part of the commentary team, and that one from 7 o'clock on Friday when the quarterfinals start here on your World Cup station Talk Sport. Which of these two will be there? Switzerland in possession inside their own penalty area, and working it with Schär out for Rodriguez. Now play forward down the left-hand side for Ruben Vargas, who's got the opportunity to make good ground down that left flank. Pulled back for Xherdan Shaqiri. Shaqiri, who has scored at 3 different World Cups now, which is a feat not too many achieve. Ronaldo, of course, has scored at 5, but still hoping for the goal that will see him tie Eusebio's record, and still without a goal in the knockout stages of the World Cup in his career. On the bench tonight, of course. Ball on the Portuguese right. William Carvalho clearing it. towards halfway, but the backpedaling Ricardo Rodriguez, who's a centurion in terms of international caps himself. Turn it back for Cher. Cher to his goalkeeper Jan Sommer in orange tonight, and then play forward by him to Xhaka, and back out of the left-hand side of the defensive line again for Rodriguez. Rodriguez is balling towards Shaqiri, and stepping up. Pepe's just fouled his man. It's a free kick which Switzerland will take, with shadow boxing the order of the day. Pretty static opening 8 minutes or so here at Lusail, where the score is still Portugal 0, Switzerland 0. Here's Stuart Pearce.
I'm just looking at the front three for Portugal, and I think it's really important that one of them offers that movement in behind. It's probably, I would suggest that Ramos is probably, should be part of his game, being the point man up there, but certainly if they all three want to come to the ball, that's going to make the Swiss backline's life very, very easy and comfortable.
This is a third meeting of these two nations over the last 6 months, incidentally. They played each other twice in the week in the Nations League back in June. Portugal beating Switzerland 4-0, their biggest ever win in this fixture, but less than a week later Switzerland got revenge. Haris Seferovic's goal 57 seconds into the returning counter ended up being enough. Switzerland beat Portugal 1-0. Switzerland have had the better of it over history, but it's been close. There's just a little bit of wrestling going on in the midfield off the ball. It's gone out for a throw that will be taken by Guerrero, but So is getting involved in there with Otavio. And they'll help it forward again down the Swiss right. Will so, but can't get too far. That's been the order of the day for Switzerland up to this point. Edmilson Fernandez playing it back inside his own half for Cher. Cher to Jan Sommer. And Sommer just a yard outside his penalty area. Getting the ball, passing it back out to Cher, getting it back and going back out to Cher again. Long ball launched over the halfway line. Ruben Dias heading that, so trying to make life very difficult in there for Otavio, and succeeding, and the Swiss are going to be able to get it out towards Vargas. But whenever a man in Swiss white gets possession, it's often just a breakdown in the impetus of the play. It's been quite pedestrian for them so far, not really going up through the gears. It's been a conservative, measured build-up about them. They sense that this might be a long night, and that not expanding too much early energy is one of the key tenets to success. And Edmilson Fernandez making his way forward from right back. Those swings are high, deep, left-footed ball in. It's too long for Freuler, and goes out of play for a goal kick to Portugal. We're 10.5 in. And it's Portugal 0, Switzerland 0 on your World Cup station, TalkSport.
Yeah, I think in these early stages they've been reasonably impressed with Switzerland. They're a physically powerful side. They're all reasonably comfortable in possession of the ball, as you would expect. And Xhaka, you can see his verbal presence and leadership in the middle of the pitch, pointing, cajoling, looking to receive the ball, and basically guiding other members of his team around.
Embolo, the press was a good one from Embolo. He almost embarrassed Ruben Dias. It was rescued by Dallo, who could step forward to clear his lines, but just for a moment the Swiss pressed with unanimity, and Ruben Dias looked pretty shaky trying to answer the questions. Here's Fabian Cher playing it forward into the feet of Xhaka, back for Rodriguez. Rodriguez just deceiving Bruno Fernandes with a slight drop of the shoulder, but the long left-footed ball out to the Swiss right was overhit, and Portugal have a throw. Well, it's been one of the key factors of this tournament. Sides that have got a good ability to press well have, by and large, done very well.
Well, I think football this day and age, teams are...
As Rodriguez comes across the sweep up, get it back to his keeper, Sommer. Not the best clearance from him, but he'll get away with it. He gets it towards halfway.
Yeah, poor play there. I think it was Rodriguez, or no, it was actually Vargas. Stepped out the line and enabled Portugal to go in behind them, and it's give Portugal a visible lift.
Are you just talking about the pressing?
Yeah, sorry, Jim. The pressing, I think, is a feature of the game, because people get brought up, and the academies get brought up about receiving the ball, taking it from the back, and a lot of teams have forgot the ability to press hard and press aggressively. So when the odd team does come up and do that, it really panics the opposition, especially goalkeepers and central defenders that are used to having time. I've got to say, out of the two teams, Switzerland have settled into this game much better than Portugal have at the moment. They seem the better organised team, the better passing, the more physical side of the two. They haven't shown any cutting edge as yet, though.
Not too many people would have shared your Mystic Meg anticipation of Spain's relatively early demise in this tournament. How does it affect the mindset of these two, knowing that they've now got Morocco in the quarters rather than Spain?
Well, make no mistake, it'll give them a big lift, both of these. You know, they'll see this as a potential route right to a semi-final. You know, without being arrogant or overcocking it, when you've been involved in these tournaments and you end up against a side that you think are beatable, without doubt you look beyond the next round. So you think, if we win this one, all of a sudden it could be a semi-final and beyond.
Moroccans, having said that, once they got the celebrations out of their system with the outstanding defensive record they've got, they've conceded only 1 in 8 internationals. They may well fancy their chance against either of these as well. That'll be a really good game Saturday afternoon. Here's Pepe in possession for Portugal. Way forward towards William Carvalho. And now down towards Pepe again, who can bring it over halfway. First time that one of the Portuguese centre-halves has made his way forward. Ball in behind Gonzalo Ramos and didn't quite get to João Felix, who was making a run to his left. And Emilson Fernandez is going to be able to bring it away. And he's got it over halfway towards Embolo, who can turn and get away from Guerrero. Now the ball goes out towards the Swiss left-hand side for Vargas. Vargas taking on Dallo, who times his sliding challenge perfectly to put it out of play for a throw. Led with the edge of the penalty area. 0-0.
Yeah, really good play there from Embolo. I know certainly working for clubs, we've had a good look at Embolo in time, and I felt as though in previous years, if you like, that he was a little bit lacking in end product and not really had the tools to be a top player. Looking at him early on in this game, he looks as though he's got more know-how, what he's trying to achieve as a player, and certainly a powerful young man as well.
Yeah, he's playing his club football these days for Monaco. He signed for them from Borussia Mönchengladbach in the summer. He's got 8 goals this season. And for a 25-year-old, 60 international caps is a decent record, although goals at a rate of maybe only 1 in 5 is quite what he'll hope for over his next 5-6 years of international football. But he's had a good tournament here so far and looks better every time you see him.
It's a little bit difficult to get more experience than that amount of caps at that age. Yeah. It really is. And as I say, I think certainly when I had a look at him, it was that lack of goals probably that you think, hang on a minute, if you're going to play that position, you're going to have to score a bit more freely.
Well, the Portuguese have possession again. Fernandez trying to work it forward. Back it comes for Pepe. Pepe in his 4th World Cup, starting a 3rd successive game. And who scored in the round of 16 the last time Portugal were here in the World Cup back in 2018. That was against Uruguay, but it was a game they lost. João Felix on halfway. Back inside his own half for William Carvalho. And play that towards Diogo Dallo. Good ball forward from him. Gonzalo Ramos chased after it. Didn't quite have the legs to be able to get there, and it was swept away by Fabian Schär. João Felix picks up the loose ball near the edge of the penalty area. Worked in by Guerrero. That's a clever touch in the midfield. An opportunity to whip it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Lovely ball from Bernardo Silva. Great movement off the ball, but ultimately Switzerland dealt with the threat. And it goes out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Portuguese left. That was better from Portugal, beginning to try and go up through the gears. Guerrero taking a quick throw. João Felix to Gonzalo Ramos. Oh, what a goal! Well, Ronaldo's been left out of the starting lineup, and the man that's come in to replace him has just hit an extraordinary thunderbolt of a shot into the roof of the net from a tight angle. It's his full international debut, but if ever Portugal wondered who was going to be able to take up the reins of their mystical number 7, they might just have the answer. Gonzalo Ramos, in the game of his life, scores the goal of his life, and Portugal leads Switzerland 1-0.
Well, it was a Kanju stepped out the line that ended up forcing a throw-in for Portugal. Poor play by him, and Portugal, in their best phase of their play, looked as though not much was on. They didn't get tight enough in the Swiss back line, but my goodness, from a really tight angle, he just turned and unloaded a shot that went right in the postage stamp at the near post. Goalkeeper, well, to be fair, it's past him before he could even blink.
What a goal that is. And we've seen some good goals in this tournament. It's not quite up there with the Richarlison efforts that we've seen. But for context, for pressure, for his lack of experience, for everything this means for him, for the fact that he's the man that's got Ronaldo's place, to be able to produce that, there, and then, fair play.
Well, sometimes speaking with Nat pre-game, and these youngsters, sometimes you put them in and they've just got no nerves about some youngsters potentially, or a senior player potentially might not have taken a shot on from there and give it to a more experienced player, but credit to him, that was almost unstoppable. Goalkeeper will be slightly disappointed near post, as they normally are, but some strike.
Well, it's not a goal against the run of play, but you'd certainly have to say that Switzerland feel they don't deserve to be behind. In terms of possession so far, it is 60-40, there or thereabouts, in Portugal's favour. Gonçalo Ramos scores his second international goal. He's had worse months in his life.
I'll tell you what, the policeman in this stadium will be the Peter Shilton lookalike down there, the Portuguese manager. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. Sometimes you make big calls and they work, sometimes you don't. Certainly that one has.
Ramos, ball ricocheting actually off him in the midfield. It was smacked at him from close range. It hit him and bounced through towards Freuler, who is judged to have fouled Pepe. Portuguese skipper is down hurt. Freuler didn't think it was a foul, but it's going to be a free kick which will be taken about 20 yards outside the Portuguese penalty area. That just gives them a chance to draw collective breath. We're 20 minutes in. It's Portugal 1, Switzerland 0. A stunner from Gonçalo Ramos. Portugal have only ever lost one World Cup game when they've scored first. But that was against South Korea last week, so they won't be able to take too much for granted. The flip side of that, Switzerland have only ever won 3 when they've gone 1-0 down. That's 3 out of 20 over nearly 100 years of World Cup participation. Portugal leads Switzerland by a goal to 0. They've taken a big step towards playing against Morocco in the quarterfinals next week. Ball played forward over the halfway line by the Portuguese goalkeeper Diogo Costa, and Guerreiro has it. Guerreiro, German-born defender, into the feet of Joao Felix, twisting one way and then trying to deceive Gibril So by going the other, and then it's clipped over the top. It's a nice ball from William Carvalho, great weight on it. Guerreiro, he's got movement inside the penalty area. He had a couple coming in from deep, including Joao Felix. He was his target, but it was knocked away out of his flight path before it got to him on the edge of the penalty area. Bruno Fernandes drops deep and will link things up and switch away for Guerreiro again. And Guerreiro just tries to commit runs onto the return ball in the penalty area. Bernardo Silva setting it up, and a right footed shot comes in from Otavio from distance, but that's comfortably saved by Sommer. And the lead remains just the 1 as we approach the midway stage of the first half on TalkSport.
Yeah, the last probably 5 or 6 minutes, Portugal have upped the tempo, and their give and goes are really being hard to track for the Swiss back line. They're getting done too often, too regularly and too easily.
Ramos, I'm told, had only had 3 touches of the ball prior to scoring. Every single player on the field had more than that up to that point, but he's had the most important one of the night. And Portugal leads Switzerland as a result of it. It's not part of the Swiss game plan necessarily to have to come out and try and be proactive. Got to make sure they don't get caught again. It's Ramos again, edge of the penalty area, after he embarrassed Cher by getting on the end of a ball forward that he seemed second favourite for, but his low, skidding right-footed effort didn't have the power or the precision of his previous one, and Sommer could gratefully pounce on it. Portugal 1, Switzerland 0.
Well, Bruno Fernandes got his arms outspread saying, why didn't you pass to me? Well, I'll tell you why I didn't, because 5 minutes ago I've just hit the back of the net and I'm in a better position now and I'm going to shoot.
Here's Granit Xhaka for Switzerland. Played forward over halfway for Remo Freuler. Freuler out to Swiss left again for Vargas. Vargas on the left-hand side of the penalty area drives it in. It hits Dalot. It's cleared by William Carvalho. Bruno Fernandes is able to bring it down, but throws his arm across his body in frustration as the ball goes away, and then the whistle goes. Bruno Fernandes thought he should have had a free kick. It's been given Switzerland's way for the next challenge in the midfield on Granit Xhaka. Portugal haven't got a great record in the World Cup against European opposition, surprisingly. Their last win against the European side in the World Cup back in 2006. That was their last successful round of 16 tie when they beat the Dutch en route to the semi-finals. Beat England in the quarters, you'll remember. But that after a penalty shootout, the last win in regulation time, that one in 2006 against the Dutch. I think that was the game that ended 9-aside. Manish with the winning goal and 2 off for each by the end. Portugal in possession over on the far touchline, which is the right. Otavio turning into trouble. And it goes out of play for a throw, but a problem for Fabian Schär. Mexican referee has asked for the Swiss medical staff to come on before play resumes. Schär down with a problem and he's lying flat on his back. He's got his hands covering his eyes. This does not look good for him. I don't know whether it's a muscular problem he's got. How able he's going to be to continue. Granit Xhaka's trying to get a message across to the Swiss bench, but the last thing they need is one of their first choice defenders going down and out through injury.
Yeah, they certainly don't need that. I mean, they started the game pretty well, and for the first 12-13 minutes looked as though they're a very well organised, powerful side, and all of a sudden, probably the last 6-7 minutes, Portugal have just got the ball. They've played little 1-2s, give and goes, and all of a sudden the Swiss look very, very wooden in their defensive work and their tracking.
Schär back on his feet, and he's got to leave the field having received treatment, but the fact that he's doing so via the far touchline suggests to me he's going to be able to continue. Newcastle fans will be a little bit concerned. Callum Wilson had a muscular problem this week. We saw him miss training for England. He's going to be fine, but so another Newcastle player struggling potentially. I think Schär will be back on in a moment. I don't think it's as serious as his expression would have had us believe to start with. Play resumes. Schär waiting for permission to come back on. And with Switzerland a man light in the defensive line, it just meant it was easier for them to catch Gonzalo Ramos offside, which they've done. Schär now comes back on. The free kick which the Swiss will take, 25 minutes deep into this one. And Portugal lead Switzerland by 1-0. Portuguese have been beaten in their last 2 games in the round of 16 in the World Cup. Uruguay, I mentioned 4 years ago, didn't get out of the group in 2014. 2010 they lost to Spain. So we're going to go back to 2006 for the last time that they have been able to successfully navigate through to the quarter-finals. Gibraltar has it for Switzerland, whose wait for a place in the last 8 is much, much longer than that. 1954, the last time that they made it through. It's a lovely turn over on the far touchline by Vargas, who's beaten his man. He's taking on Dalot. He's rescued the situation really well, Diogo Dalot, because he bought the dummy, but then came back and was able to nip in goal side and just took the ball off Vargas's toe to make sure it's nothing more than a throw in a deeper position over on that far touchline. 26 gone, 1-0 Portugal lead it on TalkSport. Here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I don't think the Portuguese are really tough to play against. I think they'll let you play and you can find space between the lines, and that isn't a problem. But at this moment in time, I've got to say, I'm not seeing any cutting edge once they get it in decent areas from Switzerland, and I don't see who's going to really go and hurt and trouble the back line and the goalkeeper at this moment.
Scoring goals historically has been their problem in the biggest games in the World Cup. They've lost each of their last 4 round of 16 ties in the World Cup, and they didn't score in any of them. Don't score here tonight, they're out again. And Emilson Fernandes just guiding things with his left instep. Sends the ball back for Jan Sommer, played out by him to Akanji. And now Granit Xhaka will get between penalty area in the edge of the centre circle before releasing Rodriguez down the left. Vargas claiming that he was fouled. Referee completely unmoved by such claims. Portugal work it over the top, but far too high a ball for Gonçalo Ramos, and it just drifts all the way through for Jan Sommer, and Switzerland will try and build from the back. And as you'd expect, possession has gone up ever so slightly for them since the concession of the goal. Already, even at this early stage, need for them to be slightly more proactive than they were, but creating opportunities is going to be the hard bit. They've not had a shot on target so far. Portugal have had 3 and have scored with one of them. Sommer getting it forward into the centre circle. That's a good turn by Embolo. Really good play. He's just out-muscled Ruben Diaz and then stands his ground again. Diaz across has fouled him. He's just given him one shove too many. Cesar Ramos, the referee's liking. Now it's a free kick to Switzerland, and there's a very quick committee meeting amongst the Swiss midfield led by Granit Xhaka about whether perhaps there should have been further sanction, but the referee doesn't produce a yellow card. Haven't seen many in this tournament so far in the grand scheme of things. But the Swiss have a free kick that is just outside the limit of range, I think, for a direct effort, realistically. Yeah, well, put it this way, if you're not getting too many bookings in the World Cup, if you start grappling a player on the halfway line and you get to shooting distance or just outside and you're still grappling him and don't get booked, I'm not sure you'll get booked for a great deal, you know. No, I think it's too far out. But with these footballs now, a few of the strikers have shown if you do catch it correctly and get it on target, it causes big problems. So the 3-man wall, which Diogo Costa's lined up, is, as we look at it, 4 yards, 5 yards right of centre. Xhaka and Shaqiri are the players standing over this. I know that Stewart telepathically is telling them to go goalkeeper's side. Shaqiri sends it over the wall and just wide. He went the other way, and I think the goalkeeper possibly got fingers to it to help it round the post and out of play. It was a really good attempt from Shaqiri. Over the wall, a little bit too much curve. It was going wide, but possibly via the outside of the post before the goalkeeper's intervention. Yeah, decent save, by the way. It might have been a fraction outside the post. Only a fraction, though. Good effort. In fact, he's been too safe with it and keeping it away from the goalie, and it was a really good effort from that distance. That's as close as anyone's come for Switzerland. Shaqiri taking the corner himself, and it's easily headed away. Hooked back over the shoulders inside the penalty area, and Akanji just ducked his head in. He knew he was in an offside position. That was Embolo, I beg your pardon, just used in an offside position. But the free kick has gone Portugal's way anyway. I think you sense that the opportunity Portugal had he not given the free kick, he might have been able to get forward on the counter-attack. So it was a good way of stopping play, deliberately getting himself caught offside there. It was good, quick thinking. Here's Guerrero down to the left for Bruno Fernandes. An instant crossfield switch of play out towards Diogo Dalot, and then Dalot lays it back for Bernardo Silva to bring it forward out to the right hand side of the penalty area. Portugal then retreat, having made good ground, and go all the way back for Pepe. He's still inside the Swiss half as he picks it up. He's played back for Ruben Diaz, more than 100 times a Manchester City player now. Slight miscue on the pass from him out towards Pepe. Pepe to William Carvalho, the defensive linchpin of that Portuguese midfield, but he does like to drift out to the right-hand side and give some width on occasion. Now to be played for by Otavio. Right-footed ball curved inside the penalty area, and almost an own goal. Defensive header from Fabian Schär, and his heart was in his mouth as soon as it touched him. But it went just wide of Sommer's right-hand post. Goal-saving header in the end, because he had Gonçalo Ramos coming in behind him. But he knew that he just had to get something on it, and he couldn't really steer it. But he got lucky, and he goes out of play for a corner. Yeah, Sommer flat-footed there, could do nothing about it if it nestled in the net, but I've got to say it's a good defensive header, because if he hadn't, Ramos gets his second of the game. Ramos, who's already become Portugal's youngest ever goal scorer in the World Cup knockout stage, overtaking Eusebio. Ramos has already got More goals in the knockout stages of the World Cup than Cristiano Ronaldo, the man he's replaced tonight. In comes the corner, Portugal's first of the game! Pepe delivers! The 39-year-old heads Portugal into a 2-0 lead. And barely half an hour in, this might already be all over by the shouting. The youngster with the first, the veteran with the second. What a moment for Pepe. On the day he becomes the oldest outfield player in a knockout match in World Cup history. He scores in the round of 16 again. And Portugal leads Switzerland by 2-0.
Yeah, brilliant climb in the air, unmarked, come in, and he just rose higher than anybody. Everyone else flat-footed, good movement, and once he gets across the front here, I think it was Akanji, could not do anything about it, brushed him aside, and goalkeeper absolutely no chance from 5 yards.
Well, what a moment for a player who's featured in 3 previous World Cups, a veteran of more than 800 games for club and country. He becomes the oldest ever World Cup goal scorer.
I think what we're looking at in Switzerland is a team with a level of consistency, but they ceiling out as soon as they come up against anyone with any cutting edge, and certainly Portugal have shown that tonight.
Portugal ranked 9th in the world, Swiss not far below them, but they've had the cutting instincts, they've had the predatory ability in and around the edge of the penalty area, and the set-piece delivery to match. They lead by 2-0. Long way back from 2-0 down in a World Cup knockout match. Rodriguez playing it out towards Vargas for Switzerland, who feel a need that some kind of a pretty immediate response to try and get a foothold back in the game. It's looking set fair for a Portugal-Morocco quarter-final. And the winners of that will play the winners of England-France. Portugal bring it forward again. Here's Guerrero. Guerrero through the midfield. Ramos picking it up, slipping it down the right-hand side of the penalty area for Joao Felix. Gets towards the byline, stands it up towards the far post, but over Gonzalo Ramos' head. He's still going to get there first, made something of it. Looked as though he was brought down. The referee says no, he's given a throw rather than a free kick. In fact, he's given a throw to Switzerland rather than a free kick to Portugal. It looks as though Ramos maybe had a case. Without seeing a replay, I don't know what you thought, Stu, but the referee wasn't having it.
No, without the onset of a replay, I'm not too sure which way it went, but it's nice the referees make good decisions, and you've got to roll with that.
High ball from Xhaka, and brought down by Vargas on the Switzerland left-hand side. Still just the one attempt on target so far, which is the Shaqiri free kick has been deemed to have been on target, even though we're not convinced it was necessarily. Here's Djibril Sow. So goes out to the Switzerland left. Back for Fabian Schär. Schär through the midfield for Granit Xhaka. The round of 16 hoodoo. Going to strike again for the Swiss. Lost at this stage to Spain and Ukraine and Argentina and Sweden, all in the last 30 years in the round of 16. Rodriguez. Xhaka. Vargas has seen plenty of it. He's just showing for the ball and is played to him now by So. Vargas coming into a more central position. Saw that Edmilson, that Fernandez was in a bit of space on the right-hand side. And Guerrero's happy just to give him that space. Guerrero will still defend pretty narrow when the ball is over on the Portuguese left. He's almost level with the penalty spot. Xhaka's got it. And he's played it to his right-hand side before getting an immediate return ball from Akanji. Back for Schär inside his own half. Schär forward to Ricardo Rodriguez. And Rodriguez down the left-hand touchline again for the Swiss, where Vargas has a couple of attempts at winning a throw and does so at the second attempt. 2-0 Portugal lead. Score of the second goal. Pepe gets a bigger round of applause from a little cushion, a little pocket, should I say, of Swiss supporters, of Portuguese supporters over on that far touchline as he puts the ball out of play. His 8th international goal of his career, second in World Cup football. Throw taken by the Swiss, And back for Fabian Schär. Schär clipping it forward. So, heading it on. Edemilson Fernandez, right-hand side of the area. Low-driven ball in. Beaten away by Diogo Costa. Headed then back past him by Freuler, but headed off the line. And a right-footed effort from Akanji flies over the bar. That's the best moment of the game as far as Switzerland are concerned.
Yeah, good effort there. Ball out wide to Fernandez, and he's ball in. Brilliant ball in, I've got to say. Goalkeeper just tried to parry it out of the 6-yard box, but just left it in there where he was flat on the floor. And then the header come in, but no power in it. Just could not get any power in it. Freuler.
Goalkeeper might just have got a fingertip to it to put a little bit more spin on it, but Diogo Dalot was back on the line anyway to be able to hook it away. Here's Akanji. Back for his goalkeeper, Jan Sommer. Sommer, who missed the last match through illness. He's such a good record in his time in German football. Play forward to Mbolo. He was fouled by Ruben Dias, and it's a free kick which Switzerland will take 10 yards inside their own half. They're trailing by 2-0. We've got 6 minutes to go to half-time, and Switzerland need a pretty significant improvement, and they need it pretty quickly. Here's Rodriguez. Finding Granit Xhaka in a more central position, trying to work it forward towards Freuler. The referee says that there is a free kick, as Freuler claimed, but he's given it against him rather than for him, and Pepe will just manage the situation by rubbing his knee a little bit gingerly before getting back to his feet, and then going back down on one knee just to adjust the laces of his right boot, make sure everything is in order, but he's okay, and Portugal's captain will take the free kick himself. Portugal leading by 2-0 here on TalkSport.
I feel as though I'm watching a boxing match where Switzerland being one boxer that are jabbing, but have not got a knockout punch, and then Portugal just soak it up, and then a knockout punch. And certainly the way it's looked as though they've got more threat of a goal-scoring opportunity than Switzerland.
A goal from Pepe, making him the oldest player ever to score in the knockout stages of a World Cup game. They're still just behind Roger Miller, when he scored in 1994 in the group stages. Free kick given Switzerland's way for a foul on So in the centre circle. Xhaka's going to take it, not quite where the infringement took place. Switzerland have only won 5 games in 2022, all of them by a single goal. They bite your hand off penalties already here tonight. 2-0 down. Gonzalo Ramos and Pepe, the goal scorers. Two men separated by 18 years in terms of their age. By 16 minutes on the score sheet tonight. Here's João Felix out to the Portuguese right. They're hungry for more. Bruno Fernandes too much on that, and he's shanked it behind and out of play for a goal kick. An uncharacteristically poor delivery from Bruno Fernandes. Out of play for a goal kick that will be taken by Jan Sommer. 41 gone. Portugal leading Switzerland by 2-0. Morocco beating Spain on penalties earlier today here on TalkSport. This one has certainly been more routine than I'd anticipated it was going to be, Stu.
Yeah, it certainly has, but they basically 2 moments of cutting edge by Portugal separated the teams, I think, and apart from Mbolo picking the ball up on occasion, turning and driving with it, I'm not seeing a great deal of threat from the Swiss, I've got to say. I don't see anyone that can pick it up and drive past somebody and really put the Portuguese on the back foot. But saying that, I've not seen a great deal from Portugal that would worry me if I'm up against them in a quarter or a semi-final.
Here's Akanji, bringing it forward over halfway. Turn around the corner for Gibril So's run. Shaqiri on the edge of the penalty area, clipping it out to the left. Oh, it was a poor attempt from Vargas to find anybody in white inside the penalty area, and Portuguese defenders had an easier job of getting it away than they'd have anticipated. It's a bad foul by Schär. Might get booked for that in a moment, but the referee's played the advantage. And here's Ramos, he's in again! And Sommer gets down and gets a strong left hand to it, a tip it away. Out of play for a corner, and Schär does indeed get a yellow card for the foul earlier in the move.
Yeah, really poor. infringement early on, and rightly so, a yellow card. Wonderful ball there from Hernandez, I think it was, and Ramos through on goal again, and the goalkeeper just made a good save. Reasonable effort. I'm thinking you really should score from there though.
Fabian Schär's now going to miss the next match as a result of that yellow card. As a result of what happened in the first half hour or so, the rest of his teammates might be missing it as well. 2-0 to Portugal. They scored from their first corner. Now they have their second. Pepe's made his way forward again. Nobody picking him up as he just walks towards the penalty spot. Corners work short. Flicked off towards the edge of the penalty area for Otavio. He drives it in. Pepe trying to come around the back. Helps it back in. Goalkeeper came out. Collided with one of his teammates and spilled the ball, but they were still able to give it away. And he goes out for a throw right in front of a very satisfied Fernando Santos on the edge of his technical area. Because Portugal, whenever they push forward, look as though they can ask some pretty decent questions of this Swiss back line.
I think if they're clinical, Jim, they could win this 4 or 5. I really do.
And the Swiss have been hugely disappointing. Too much between the two sides until the first goal, but Portugal have been buoyed by it, and the Swiss have seen confidence levels evaporate. One or two heads maybe going down. Pepe to Carvalho. He'll turn it back, and Bolo, ever willing, will try and put a little bit of pressure on Diogo Costa, but he can clear. Long ball forward from him. Headed down by Gonzalo Ramos, the way that he was facing back towards the edge of the centre circle. Bruno Fernandes links it up. Joao Felix has got it. Guerrero's to his left. He's got 5 in red and green to his right. Plays it to Bruno Fernandes, who stops the ball and just allows Joao Felix to come and take up possession again. Out it goes for Bernardo Silva. Back for William Carvalho to Pepe. Pepe more than happy just to go all the way back to his goalkeeper, let the ball do the work, and try and fight the Swiss press. Vargas obediently chasing after the ball, but not getting anywhere near it. Bernardo Silva goes back for Pepe. Forward through the heart of the midfield for Joao Felix, the left winger, finding himself almost at right inside his own half, and he's run a long way. He's taken a circuitous route, but now he's taking the more direct path towards the edge of the penalty area. Slips it off for Bruno Fernandes. Feigned to shoot, but didn't. Then tried to clip an outrageous ball the outside of his right boot over Schär's shoulder and in for Joao Felix's run. Didn't get it right, didn't get the elevation. Very difficult skill to try and pull off there. And Switzerland get it away, but only half clear. With 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Dominantly, the Portuguese celebration. Gonzalo Ramos and Pepe with the goals. And Ronaldo's absence has not been felt. Bernardo Silva playing it out to the Portuguese right-hand side. Dallo's gone down, there's no foul. Switzerland winning it back. Can they halve the deficit before half-time? Shaqiri drops it into the path of Vargas. Now out towards the left for Embolo, who played it forward hoping to win a corner via a deflection. Didn't get the deflection, and consequently didn't get the corner either. And it's a goal kick to Portugal, running the clock down before half-time. They lead by 2 goals to 0.
Yeah, probably that little phase of play there was symptomatic of what we've probably seen from the Swiss. Reasonable play, got into good advanced areas, and then Bolo's hit a pass that was so overhit, it was quite incredible.
Well, when you haven't scored a goal in a World Cup knockout stage match since Josef Hurgi found the net in 1954, you probably sense that you're not going to be able to get 2 in 45 minutes or so in order to pull yourselves back into this game and book extra time. And that's the size of the task at the moment. More defending to do before the break, though, and another corner's been conceded by the sliding Schär. Timed that challenge well, hooked his left foot around it and got there ahead of Dallo. Portugal go ahead on the corner kick. Bruno Fernandes, to say he's ambling out towards the corner flag's an understatement. Bernardo Silva has almost started from the centre of Doha and is still going to get to the corner quadrant quicker than Fernandes. Spots the ball down. Fernandes offers himself now for the short one, and it's played to Fernandes. Just stops things again, trying to invite the challenge from Vargas. Back into a little bit of space outside the penalty area. Right-footed square to Guerrero. Guerrero coming onto it, sets it up for shot. Left-footed effort, spirals over the bar and out of play for a goal kick. 2-0.
Yeah, really set himself up quite well for an effort there, but just sometimes with these footballs you don't have to hit them too hard. Just send them in the right direction. The ball and the well, not altitude, certainly not, but the rarefied air. Would that be correct, Jim, or not? Probably not. Okay, leave that one with me.
You're looking at someone who didn't excel in geography GCSE, but fair to say you need a caress rather than a clatter.
That was exactly my point.
Yeah, I thought it was. The ball is over on the Swiss left. Oh, Shaqiri made the good run, but the ball kind of done but seemed to gather pace as it went past him and goes out of play for a goal kick which will be taken by Portugal's Diogo Costa, who made one save from a Shaqiri free kick. He's not had an awful lot else to do. Switzerland not able to offer anything particularly constructive in front of goal, as Stu's been saying. And as a consequence, Portugal are in very, very comfortable command of this game.
And Switzerland just needs something to go their way, someone to make a mistake and it fall to one of their players. At the moment, I'm not seeing them create anything for themselves. And this is a team, Portugal, that are filled with technicians that will keep the ball.
Ruben Dias, so used to doing that for Manchester City. He's played it to Pepe to his right-hand side, and the half-time whistle goes. Well, it's the night where Portugal have left the big cheese sitting on the bench. Switzerland have defended like a Swiss cheese, full of holes, and they've been exploiting Gonzalo Ramos and Pepe at ages 21 and 39, respectively, doing the damage. Ronaldo's had a watching brief. He'll have enjoyed what he's seen. Clearly, he would love to have been involved and on the field as the goals flew in. Ramos is on his full international debut, a thing of beauty. Pepe bludgeoning a header in from Portugal's first corner, and Switzerland, who haven't scored a knockout goal in World Cup football since 1954, I think, are already sensing their fate. Half-time in Lusail, it's Portugal 2, Switzerland 0. And the Swiss without Fabien Schär for the second half. You may remember that he picked up an injury in the first half. He laboured on, but Eray Jumet is replacing him at half-time. And he'll play on the left of the two centre-halves alongside Akanji. Stuart, during the half-time discussion off-air, has brilliantly and memorably described Fernando Santos as being reminiscent of somebody that I grew up watching on television. He is Sid James, but just with a slightly better budget than Thames TV ever used to give him for wardrobe. You're absolutely right, and he smiles about as much as Sid did.
I think, listen, if Portugal get through, we'll send one of our reporters to ask him, does he know the sage that is Sid James? Has he ever been in a carry-on film? Is this carry-on World Cup?
Carry on without Ronaldo is how Portugal are going at the moment. They're 45 minutes away from a quarter-final place in the World Cup. Morocco lie waiting for the winners of these two. Switzerland have got plenty of work to do. 2 without reply in this second half to take it to extra time. Portugal are kicking from left to right in red and green shirts. From the kick-off, it's worked for Gonzalo Ramos going down. The referee has allowed play to continue, and the Swiss have it at the back. And Portugal lining up Diogo Costa in goal, Dallo, Pepe, Ruben Dias and Guerrero. Then Bernardo Silva, William Carvalho, Otavio, Bruno Fernandes, Gonzalo Ramos and Joao Felix. Switzerland, Sommer, Fernandes, Akanji, Chumert and Rodriguez, with Chumert on for Schär at the break. Freuler and Xhaka, Shaqiri, So and Vargas, and Embolo. Here's Pepe, who's usurped Ronaldo in this game as being Portugal's oldest ever World Cup goal scorer. Ball played down through the midfield, Bernardo Silva chasing after it, and it's going to be brought under control at the back by Rodriguez. It was a brisk ball. Then from Chummer, back the Vari's goalkeeper out towards Akanji, and Switzerland have it at the back.
We spoke at half-time, Jim, sorry, about potential changes. You know, it's interesting that the only change we've got is I would take it for an injury, a centre-half coming on. Switzerland obviously making no changes whatsoever at the front end of the team, where at 2-0 down you would fully expect that to be the case.
I guess they'll feel that they've got the man who's far and away their best striker on the field and just try and get as much out of him as they can. They've got Seferovic and Okafor to call upon if necessary, and maybe a change of shape to 2 up front. They'll make sure they're only 2 down by the time that the next shuffle happens, but Chomed is across to cover the run of Joao Felix, and it goes out of play for a throw that will be taken over on the far touchline. The other worry that Switzerland have got, they haven't scored in the final half hour of any game in 2022. 12 games and not a single goal past the hour mark in any of them in this calendar year. So not a side that necessarily have a fantastic repertoire of stunning comebacks in them. Or will they be able to create anything more than we've seen so far? Up to this point, just 2 shots on target for them, 5 for the Portuguese, 2 of which have gone in. Portugal on the front foot again on the left-hand side of the penalty area, clipping the ball in. It's come off Akanji, who's ended up wearing it, hit his right ear, I think, from his club teammate Bernardo Silva, and gone out of play for a corner, which will be taken over on the Portuguese left-hand side. It's 2-0 to Portugal. And here's Stuart Pearce, the former England captain.
Well, if the stats ring true and the Swiss don't get a goal, it'll probably be one of the most comfortable round of 16s that the Portuguese will get, I believe. I think they'll probably see this half out, keep possession of the ball, no need to overextend. A third goal will certainly finish everything off totally.
There'll be a left-footed away swinging corner, not worked short this time. It took a touch of the near post. Rodriguez flashed it away. Vargas will chase after it, try and launch a counter-attack. It was never likely to happen. Dalot can sweep up and go back for his goalkeeper. It's the first time that Portugal have led a World Cup match at half-time by a 2-goal margin since 1966, when they were 2-0 up against Brazil in a match in the group stage that ended up 3-1. Portugal getting through to the semis on that occasion, replicated that 40 years later, and reached the last 4 in 2006, hoping to get to at least the last 4 of this competition. Some 16 years on, it will be their best World Cup for 16 years if they can hold on here, and there are no signs yet of them not doing so. Ball's played down their left, but straight out of play. There was a little ragged one. And it's out for a throw that will be taken quickly by Portugal. Bruno Fernandes hairs after the man in possession. Flip through the midfield towards So's pressurised by William Carvalho, who's fouled him, and it's a free kick which Switzerland will take 5 yards inside their own half. Portugal 2, Switzerland 0, 5 minutes into the second half. Only previous meeting of these two came back in Euro 2008. And Hakim Yakin, the younger brother of the current Swiss coach, scored twice to give them their first ever win in the Euros. Pepe actually played that day. Revenge 14 years on, best dish, best served, ice cold, and he has been ice cold at the back for Portugal today. They'll bring it forward again towards the edge of the penalty area. Bruno Fernandes clipping it in. Gonzalo Ramos trying to peel off his man at the far post, couldn't get the header in. It's cleared by Vargas, but Dalot will have another go. Low ball in towards the near post and put in for 3, and Ramos does it again. It's a master stroke from Fernando Santos. A double strike from Gonzalo Ramos. He has written his name in Portuguese World Cup folklore. A brace for him, and that'll fire them through to the last 8 of the World Cup for the first time in 16 years. Who needs Ronaldo? Not Portugal tonight. They lead by 3-0.
Well, time and time again at these big tournaments, someone comes from out in the cold, and the States are claiming the World Cup. Maybe this is Ramos's year, potentially. Great movement across the defender at the near post, and as it come to him with that left foot, just poked it out, stabbed it towards the goalkeeper, and it ended up going through Sommer's legs at close quarters. When your luck's in, your luck's in.
Well, great movement across the near post, as Stuart was saying. And it's hard to remotely make a case for Switzerland now. There are some pretty vociferous complaints going on. Not sure what they're angry about, what they think they saw in the build-up to the goal. All of a sudden, Gonzalo Ramos is on a hat-trick. 3-0, Portugal lead it. 6 months ago, they beat Switzerland 4-0 in the Nations League. It might ultimately be even more comfortable than that tonight. They are making changes very shortly. Seferovic is getting ready down beneath us, and Zakaria, I think, will be coming on in a moment as well. Switzerland with a Kanji, just work it for. They just haven't done themselves justice tonight.
No, they can't be this bad as a team. To get out of the group they've been in, I, like you, didn't think they'd get out of the group. They've done brilliantly to get out of the group. It was a really tough group they've been involved in, but listen, they've just not performed at all at this moment. Look as though they've got no cutting edge, don't look as though anyone can beat a player, and well, they'll be very disappointed unless they can turn this round, and if they do, it's one of the biggest turnarounds in World Cup history.
Yeah, it doesn't seem remotely conceivable at the moment as Portugal push forward again. João Felix dragging one across the face of goal, and Bruno Fernandes was waiting. It's taken a nick, and they get a corner out of it. Fernandes frustrated that it wasn't passed to him, for him to tap in for number 4.
I think Bruno Fernandes is the incredible I told you so man. You know, if you do anything and it doesn't involve the ball going to him, the arms go up in the air, and when I looked at the position he's in with the arms in the air, radar couldn't find him, to be quite honest with you.
Where do you think he's got that from? Corner to be taken on the Portuguese right. Fernandes will take it. It's a right-footed away swinger. Pepe heading it down this time. It was going wide before it hit Rodriguez, who can then take a touch and clear. Goes out of play for a throw, so Switzerland will make a change. Haris Seferovic, who scored the winner the last time these two sides met, is going to go some to score the winner tonight. He's coming on. Zakaria is coming on as well. Freul is the first player to make way. And also coming off is So. Substitutions, the way they're done, where it's a multiple substitution at this World Cup, I don't know whether you've noticed, they don't do them positionally. So effectively it's Zakaria coming on here for Freuler, but they put the numbers up in numerical order. Even to the extent yesterday they had a goalkeeper coming on for an outfield player and an outfield player coming on for a goalkeeper at one stage. So it just takes a little bit of thinking about. But the two coming off are Freuler and So, the players that are coming on, Seferovic and Zakaria. 3-0 the scoreline. I think Morocco know what they're going to be up against. So much is going to be made of Cristiano Ronaldo's omission. Looks like a masterstroke when you're 3-0 up inside an hour. Yeah. What have you made of their performance, though, Stu? That they look better without him to you?
Well, you've got to say that because the person who's replaced him's got 2 goals. He's played reasonably well, I think. And his finishes have been brilliant, and I think he might have an assist.
He has got an assist because he was just slipped from him into the path of Rafael Guerreiro, who walked onto it, took a touch and rifled it in past Jan Sommer. Switzerland are being absolutely torn to pieces here. It's Portugal 4, Switzerland 0, with 10 minutes gone in the second half.
Yeah, great play there, Ramos. As I say, he's had a good game. I don't want to underlie the way he's played for his age and you know, new in the side, that type of thing. His finishing's been certainly very clinical, and when he had the opportunity there, a really good ball. Just nestled it wide. He could have gone on his own, he could have shot, but he laid it on fantastically well, and that game set a match now without a doubt. They've been really, really poor, Switzerland. I'm not sure how much I can judge Portugal on this performance because I think the opposition have been so bad.
Yeah, it does have a feel of Switzerland being appalling as opposed to Portugal being world class, but you can only beat what's there, and Portugal have played their hand supremely well. Gonzalo Ramos has now, as as the clock ticked to 55 minutes. Had 3 goals and an assist in his international career that is 90 minutes old.
Yeah, the one thing you do know, Jim, listen, whether it be Ronaldo being a bit of a nuisance or his form not being good enough, I think Portugal have stumbled upon a player that is, without doubt is going to be starting the next game, and he's got the shirt at the moment.
Now Switzerland will try and work it forward down the right-hand side of the area, and Bolo down towards the dead ball line, shepherds it over the line for first Swiss corner of this second half. They've had a few, being Gonzalo Ramos' position before. Andre Silva had a great start to his international career a few years back. But he's never scored at a major tournament. Ramos, on the other hand, has properly hit the ground running. He's only ever scored one senior hat-trick in his career, incidentally, which was back in August. In comes the corner, flicked on at the near post, and put it at the far post, and Switzerland have one back with Akanji. Corner came in, near post flick, Akanji unmarked, just walking around the back, got a touch to steer it over the line, and it's 4-1.
Well, they needed something, Switzerland, for pride more than anything, and it was a flick on by Portugal, and it just dropped at Akanji. And I've got to say, with the outside of his right foot, he managed to steer it on target, and, well, respectability, I think, more than anything.
The second international goal of his career, not the merest hint of a celebration, as you can imagine. Just turned round, trotted back, takes his place in the defensive line. So 35 minutes for them to score 4. They've got the first of the 4 within 3, but it still is inconceivable, you would think. 4-1 to Portugal. Guerrero laying it down the left-hand touchline past Fernando Santos, and straight out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Portuguese right-hand side. Portugal set fair as things stand for what will be a 7th win in 10, and they will be very warm favourites for their quarter-final. Now a long, swift throw taken down the line. It was a great movement after it from Bruno Fernandes, who got caught there by Chummet, the substitute, who gets a yellow card.
I've got to say, he's been awful since he's come on. He's just not bothered tracking Fernandes there and pushed him over. He's given the ball away, and he's been caught out positionally on a couple of other occasions.
Chummet, who came on for Sher at half-time. Sher booked, and Chummet's been booked as well now. That was a great throw. Real pace and distance on that long throw. Good awareness, real low, flat trajectory as well, which was what caused the problems. It wasn't a looping one that gave the centre-half an opportunity. Gonzalo Ramos chasing a Pepe ball forward. He didn't want to score 4 goals in an under-21 international for the Portuguese, but what price a hat-trick on his full international debut in a World Cup knockout match. Ball goes down to the Swiss left back Rodriguez back for Granit Xhaka. It's Portugal 4, Switzerland 1. We've had 3 goals in a 7-minute spell in this second half. Portugal going from 2-0 to 4-0, and Kanji pulling one back. Swiss have it again. They're midway inside their own half. Forward towards Rodriguez, left-footed ball driven in, hits Dallo, and it's clear. And Otavio just caught Xhaka off the ball. Ball play back for Chummet. Gets it again from fellow centre-half Akanji, now for Xhaka. Xhaka going back towards Akanji. Switzerland, now that they're chasing the game, having much more possession. Portugal happy just to sit off and try and contain to get themselves to the finishing line here. Left-footed ball flicked down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Zakaria does enough to force William Carvalho back to concede the corner. They scored from the last one. If they can score from this one as well, then it will give a little bit of interest, you'd feel. 4-1 down, Switzerland. Can they expose Portugal from a set piece again? It's going to be another left-footed in-swinging delivery. Akanji once more trying to peel towards the back post. Dallo with a better header away at the front post area this time. Has returned into the penalty area by Rodriguez. He goes straight through for the goalkeeper, Diogo Costa. We played an hour. It's 4-1 to Portugal, and here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, as I say, I think they're just feeding on scraps at the moment, but as you rightly say, another goal for the Swiss, and it might just get interesting, but at the moment you think Portugal playing well within themselves, conserving energy and looking forward to a next round.
Well, the Swiss have at least scored a goal in the round of 16 in the World Cup tie now, which they didn't manage in their previous 4 attempts. Stretching back to 1994, they'll chase again with Rodriguez. Dallo getting it back to his goalkeeper. It took an awkward bounce. He did well to lean over it and play with the side of his foot out towards the touchline, but couldn't find Otavio. And it's a throw which will be taken on the left-hand side. He's got a touch of the Sid James, Peter Shilton, and maybe David Letterman in there as well. 20% Letterman, pre-beard. Fernando Santos, but he's going to be through to the last 8. Ball inside the penalty area, and Pepe volleys it away. And it goes out of play for a throw. He's also a man you never see smile.
No, indeed. In fact, he's just sent a message to one of his coaching staff to warm up Hattie Jakes and Charles Hawtrey. No sign of Ronaldo. Gets us through the evening, doesn't it? A little bit of joviality.
Well, what I like is the fact that these are always contemporaneous cultural references that you and I conjure up between us with our combined age of 110. But if you don't know who Hattie Jakes is, just ask your great-great-grandparents. As Paul Hawksby would say, one for the teenagers. 63 gone, Portugal 4, Switzerland 1. I reckon Charles Hawtrey might get a game ahead of Ronaldo in Fernando Santos' thinking tonight, though.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what he does. I can see as the clock rolls down, he makes wholesale changes, maybe 4 or 5 in one hit, and Ronaldo will be amongst that clutch of players that come on. But certainly I think on this performance and the performance of Ramos up front, I can't see him starting the next game.
It is the day that Spain got knocked out of the World Cup, but it's not going to be a shock. Here tonight at Lusail, you wouldn't think. The crowd baying for Ronaldo to be brought on. He'll be desperate to come on. Man chasing records. He's on 8 World Cup goals for his country. 1 behind Eusebio. And he'll look at this Swiss defence and there'll be a clamour for him to come on and get as many minutes as he can. But Santos is in a position now that if he wants to, he can make a point to Ronaldo, if he so desires. So it'll be interesting to see which way it goes over the last 25-26 minutes or so. It is 4-1 to Portugal, and Gonçalo Ramos, the youngster who's taken Ronaldo's place tonight, has scored 2 of them and set up one of the other 2. Free kick to the Swiss, just outside their own penalty area. The Swiss side that came into this having won 5 of the last 7. But their fate has long been assured, you would feel. Akanji, whose scoreboard at the moment is the merest consolation and just a footnote to the game, has possession, exchanging passes with his fellow centre-half Jummer. Long ball forward into the midfield, so nice ball as well. He's picked up Embolo, who wasn't aware that William Carvalho was coming. He fouled him, but play goes on because just as the tackle was made, he could deposit the ball to his left-hand side for Rodriguez. Vargas comes in off that left flank and plays it through the midfield. Zakaria down to the right-hand side for Emilson Fernandez. And Fernandez has continued his run forward and now has it. And has he won a corner or a throw? The ball down by that corner flag on the far side as it went out of play. It is a throw. It just went the wrong side of the corner flag from a Swiss perspective. He's taken short, left-footed, and only Shaqiri will know what he was intending. He has put the ball out of play over the corner flag on the far side of the ground, about 20 foot in the air. It was not his best effort, just a missed kick, and a wry smile greeted him. Vargas, the latest to come off, is Noah Okafor for Switzerland, which is their 4th change. player who's already got 10 goals for Salzburg in Austria this season, including one against Chelsea in the Champions League. He's been used much more often as a substitute than a starter in his international career, and he's on here for Vargas. Change number 4 for Swiss boss Murat Yakin. Rodriguez heading the ball down through the midfield. Bernardo Silva picking it up, splits it through. Joao Felix. Gonzalo Ramos on a hat-trick, flicks it past the goalkeeper. It's a night he will never forget. What a story. What an introduction to international football for the young sharpshooter from Benfica. He's made a name for himself in the space of an hour and a bit. Cristiano Ronaldo left out. A monumental call. It could not have gone any better for Fernando Santos. Gonzalo Ramos making his full international debut, bags a hat-trick, and Portugal lead by 5 goals to 1.
There's times as a manager you make judgment calls and you hope they're right. He'll be sat there so smug, it's incredible. And this young man has scored 3 absolutely outstanding goals. The first one showed how much power he could generate with the left foot. Next one, movement across the face of a defender. And the third one, composure personified as he goes through, overruns it slightly, and he just dinks it over the top of the goalkeeper for a hat-trick. Wonderful hat-trick. Well done, you.
And that composure was the crucial ingredient, because the bottom line was he had so much time to think about it, and to think about the enormity of the situation, to think that he was in a position to score a hat-trick, the first of this World Cup, the first World Cup hat-trick since Harry Kane's Panama hat-trick in Russia 2018. Here's Granit Xhaka at the other end, try to work it forward, but that's easily clear. Remember, Ramos is a player who has never scored a league hat-trick in his career because it's so much in its infancy. 7 in his last 6 league games for Benfica before the World Cup. He has scored a hat-trick for Benfica B. He scored one for Portugal's under-19s. He's had a 4-timer for the 21s, as we mentioned earlier, but he's now scored a hat-trick on his full international debut in a World Cup knockout game. Wow.
I think he's been slightly helped there in the back line. Is it Comert who's come on? Sorry, pronunciation not good for me. He's all over the place.
Well, when they got one back, they might just have sensed there was the scintilla of light at the end of the tunnel. It certainly didn't feel it from a neutral's perspective, but Switzerland are absolutely well and truly out of the chase now. Ball swept inside the area, could be 6. Sliding in, Bruno Fernandes couldn't get there. Smacks the right-hand post with his palm of his right hand in frustration. But a ball flashed across the penalty area, and Bruno Fernandes just couldn't get a touch. We've seen a 7 from Spain in this tournament. You couldn't bet against this being a 7 tonight. And Fernando Santos will take all of the plaudits.
Yeah, as I say, they've demonstrated, Portugal, that they have got cutting edge in the team. There's no doubt about that. Ramos coming in, bagging a hat-trick. They're dangerous because they've got that ability, but I also think as well they'll give you opportunities, Portugal.
Ricardo Rodriguez on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Pepe can hammer a poor, low ball away. Straight out of play for a Switzerland throw, which Xhaka's taken quickly. Rodriguez will try and take on his man. That goes out of play again. The 6 goals we've seen in this game mean that this has been the most prolific round of 16 that we've had in World Cup history, as Zakaria wins a corner for Switzerland with a right-footed shot on the edge of the penalty area that's taken Pepe off his feet. And whilst Pepe is just being held back to his feet by Zakaria, time to... do you want to think about who's the last player to score a hat-trick in the knockout stages of the World Cup? Answer in a moment. It's a long time ago. In comes the corner for Switzerland. A deep one, far too deep, and straight out of play down by the other corner flag from Shaqiri. Way past Okafor and out of play for a goal kick that will be taken away to our left-hand side. Portugal poised to make some changes. I can see Vitinha is down there. I can see the winger Ricardo Horta is down there as well. Don't know whether they'll be the only two coming on at this juncture. We've got 19 to go. It's Portugal 5, Switzerland 1 on TalkSport. And they've gone that without Ronaldo. The answer to that question, incidentally, first World Cup knockout stage hat-trick since Thomas Skaravi back in 1990 for Czechoslovakia, as they then were, against Costa Rica. Here's Ruben Dias, just inside the centre circle. He'll bring the ball to halfway. 18 minutes to go. Ronaldo, I would imagine by that cheer, is getting ready. He just emerges into our sight line off the bench. And the man that so many have paid the ticket to come and see tonight, they're going to see a 20-minute cameo from him at the end of the game. Xhaka just raising his left boot in the midfield, but didn't catch Bruno Fernandes despite the latter's claims. And played for by Otavio. Gonzalo Ramos thought he was brought down. Referee agrees. A free kick given away by Rodriguez, and a triple change for Portugal. And Cristiano Ronaldo's going to come on. It's the first time that he's come off the bench in a major tournament since the group stage of Euro 2004. And he's first on. He'll replace João Felix. Ronaldo on for his 195th international appearance, which makes him just one short now of the all-time record.
Well, it's some achievement, whichever way you look at it. That is a lot of caps, a lot of commitment, and a lot of goals to go with that.
And a bigger roar for his arrival than for the Ramos hat-trick goal. 118 international goals Ronaldo has got. Ramos currently 114 behind him, but he'll be making the headlines as well. Ramos, Otavio and João Felix are the players that have come off. Gonzalo Ramos entering the field as a rookie debutant, leaving it a hero.
Yeah, you can't do much more as a striker than hit a hat-trick, and it's been an incredible hat-trick as well. Credit to him, he's shown good movement, ability to finish left and right foot, and he'll be pleased with his evening's work. And Portugal just might have uncovered one for the future, and the immediate future at that.
So Ramos off, Vitinha on for Otavio. Vitinha, who you remember made 20-odd appearances for Wolves, including scoring an FA Cup winning goal at Chorley. But too many that scored a winner at Chorley who make the World Cup stage within a few months. But Vitinha on for his second appearance at this World Cup. He joined PSG from Porto in the summer. He's done well there. He's only missed one league game so far this season. And Ricardo Horta is the other player that's come on. The man who started against South Korea and scored within 5 minutes. Ronaldo chasing, ball that is played back to the Swiss goalkeeper Jan Sommer. Has been beaten 5 times tonight. Sommer playing it out towards the right flank where it wasn't kept in, and it's a free kick. Linesman over on the far side flag for a throw to Portugal. Has been given as a free kick to Switzerland, and that's another free kick to Switzerland as Mbolo is fouled inside the centre circle. Free kick taken quickly and presented almost inexplicably straight to Bruno Fernandes. Bernardo Silva making his way forward. Xhaka has caught him. Free kick to Portugal, and Ronaldo puffs out his chest, demands the ball and strides forward to take it.
Yeah, as I say, you don't want this game to turn into a sort of farce, if you like, and a testimonial game for Ronaldo. This is the World Cup, by the way.
Well, he's sensing the opportunity. Man has scored 8 goals in the World Cup, has never scored one in the knockout stages of the tournament. He spotted the ball down for this free kick. They had 2 direct free kicks in the tournament so far. They've both gone goalkeeper's side rather than over the wall. Marcus Rashford scoring the first of those. So the wall is 4 strong. The ball is right of centre. Got about 4 yards right of centre. 12 outside the area. It's blasted straight into the wall. Pepe couldn't get to the follow-up and is cleared. And Ronaldo couldn't make the most of his first opportunity to score the goal that would tie Eusebio as Portugal's all-time leading World Cup goal scorer. The way Gonzalo Ramos is going, he might tie Eusebio by the end of the fortnight. Ball is over on the Portuguese left. They've worked it back inside their own half. Ruben Dias knocking it for Portugal 5, Switzerland 1 on TalkSport with Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce talking through the action in Lusail. Plenty of reaction after the game, and Natalie Sawyer leading the debate with Stuart and myself between now and 10 o'clock. Fair to say this one's not going to extra time. Bruno Fernandes turning one way, then the other. Didn't hear the result from earlier. Morocco 0, Spain 0. 3-0 after penalties to Morocco. Spain missed all of theirs. Under-hit back passes dealt with effectively enough by Diogo Costa. And goes out of play for a throw over on the Swiss right-hand side. They need 4. They've got 13 minutes to get them, plus stoppage time. If they get this to 5-5, they'll more than deserve a crack at Portugal in extra time. It won't happen. Ball is on the Swiss left-hand side with Okafor. Plays it through the centre circle. Just rolls over the halfway line itself for a moment before Akanji takes responsibility and plays in Xhaka. Xhaka working a little reverse ball down through the midfield where turning under duress, Okafor's done well to retain possession and play down for Ricardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez back through the centre circle. And goes back to the edge of the penalty area where it'll be brought under comfortable control by Jan Sommer. Flights it out from the backs, headed back forward and down. Ronaldo just in a moment was in an offside position. William Carvalho has been crowded out of it in the midfield by Embolo. Ball forward from him. Shaqiri will chase after. It's forced him wider than he wanted to go, but he's going to get there. Guerreiro, the scorer of the 4th Portuguese goal, is watching his every move. But Shaqiri can pick it up. He can't get a cross in yet. Might be able to win a corner. Zakaria chasing after it. Carvalho was there first and clears, and it goes out of play for a throw to the Swiss instead over on the right-hand side with 12 minutes left. And Switzerland 5-1 down. Even the need for the miracle is understating it. Shaqiri over to the right. Ball driven in, takes a deflection. Shanked away, high up in the air really by Bernardo Silva, and Spider-Cam almost needed to take evasive action from there. Ball cleared out to the Swiss right. It's gone out of play though, and the offside flag's up anyway. So 5-1 with 11 to go here on TalkSport.
Yeah, it's been reasonably comprehensive, apart from probably the first 15 minutes where I thought that the Swiss settled into the game quite well, but they lacked no punch, and Portugal just edged into the game. And I think Sid James done on the touchline. He's got a couple of subs left, and I think Bernard Breslau's gone to sit down alongside Bab Wimser at this stage. And I think that's the end of the carry-on innuendos for the evening.
Yeah, if you're wondering, no, don't waste the energy on wondering what we're talking about. The ball is played down the Swiss right. That is level with the edge of the Portuguese box. Shaqiri has it for Switzerland. He's forced to come back. Has a good ball. Embolo setting himself up for the overhead kick. And it's not too far wide. Just didn't quite get the power. He did well, Richarlison-like, to flick it up with his right boot. Get himself into a position to hit the overhead kick. Goalkeeper was trotting across his line. The referee, he let it go. The referee actually said that it took a deflection. And so it's a corner, which will be taken on the left-hand side.
Yeah, good decision there by the referee. Just skimmed off Dallow's head, but just about sums the Swiss up. And Bolo's attempting to play a pass to his teammate, gets it that wrong. He sets himself up for an overhead kick.
Shaqiri to take this corner, number 5, and it's headed over the bar. In towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Granit Xhaka coming to meet it, but it was slightly behind him. Difficult for him to swivel and get the power on it. And out it goes. Another Portuguese change. Bernardo Silva is being replaced, and Ruben Neves is coming on to replace him. Well, we talked earlier about the omission of Ronaldo and whether it was for purely tactical reasons, managing the workload, looking ahead to not necessarily having your best 11 on the field, but having players of huge quality that you can bring on. We made the point that it wasn't just Ronaldo who was being left out, but Joao Cancelo as well, and Ruben Neves. And Neves coming on here for the final 8-9 minutes or so, Stuart.
Yeah, I think he's made the change for the better. He was probably intrigued as a manager to see what we look like without Ronaldo, and to be fair, it's worked an absolute treat. The player that replaces him, a young player destined for good things, gets a hat-trick on this stage. I mean, it couldn't have panned out better for the manager.
Youngest World Cup hat-trick scorer for 60 years, Gonzalo Ramos, who will be making the headlines front and centre in the papers tomorrow morning. So much to talk about on the Sports Breakfast. The decision to drop Ronaldo, and he's replaced by a man who's never started an international game and bags a hat-trick. And in doing so becomes the youngest World Cup hat-trick scorer for 60 years. Plenty for Laura and Ali to get their teeth into tomorrow morning on the Talk Sport Breakfast between 6 and 10. Another Swiss cross is fired in. It's headed away easily enough. Bruno Fernandes has gone down just over the dead ball line. Picked up a knock. It's going to be a throw which will be taken by the Swiss left back Rodriguez. Bruno Fernandes hobbling back onto the field. He's okay though, I think. Xhaka gets it back from Vitinha. Plays it back for Jomert. And then Xhaka passes it to the Swiss substitute again. And wide towards Akanji. Akanji in towards Mbolo, who's sat in a deeper role since Seferovic has come on. Seferovic has not been able to make any kind of impression at all. Zakaria. Play to his right. Xhaka then giving it away because the pass wasn't read. It's play forward towards Ronaldo. He's not got that injection of tempo from a standing start these days. And his mind got him there, his legs didn't quite get him there, and Joma had the time to come and rescue it and win it back and play out.
Well, we could have been looking at a fourth goal for Ramos there if he was on the pitch.
He just didn't have that burst of acceleration, did he? Like your old Datsun Cherry off the lights.
Yeah, that pulled drastically to the left though, sadly.
Well, Ronaldo might get another opportunity here. It might be offside here. He's played forward towards him. The flag is stayed down for now. Ronaldo's in and puts it in, but the flag is up. It will be looked at, I'm sure, but my instinct is that it's not particularly close.
Yeah, he knew himself that he was offside, I'm sure. No celebration at all. He'd gone much too early, probably about 3 yards too early, but I've got to say, finished it fantastically well.
So still, he hasn't tied your saviour.
No, and Switzerland doing everything they can to get him on the score sheet at the moment.
Portugal 5, Switzerland 1, 6 minutes to go. And Portugal have it at the back. Played by Neves down towards Pepe. In towards the bigger Bruno Fernandes wearing 8, Pepe. Laying it back to the edge of the penalty area for Ruben Neves, who's played centre-half for Wolves this season. He's a very deep-lying midfielder here. He's taken the William Carvalho role, and Neves plays it in a slightly different way to Carvalho because he will drop off and split the two centre-halves much more readily than Carvalho. Joma going back, lays it back towards his own goalkeeper, Jan Sommer. Sommer controls it and then plays it back out again. It's worked through the midfield, an opportunity for Granit Xhaka. Well, Portugal have laid waste to Switzerland in a way that Brazil couldn't manage. 1-0 Swiss lost to Brazil, having kept it tight for so long. 5-1 the scoreline here so far. Okafor for Switzerland, trying to get inside the area to get a shot in, and almost trying to knock the maker's name off the ball. He attempted to hit it back hard and made completely no contact as a result of that. Portugal can get it away. Bruno Fernandes is then fouled. And we're into the final 5 minutes with Portugal winning a free kick just outside their own penalty area. With TalkSport, quarterfinals starting on Friday. Croatia-Brazil at 3. Netherlands against Argentina at 7. And then Sunday, it's going to be Morocco-Portugal at 3 and England-France at 7. We've got them all for you on TalkSport, part of more than 450 live games over the course of the season on the TalkSport network, and nobody else can rival that. William Carvalho's got the ball in the midfield and goes back for Ruben Neves, who controls it with such ease. Portugal's final change is just moments away, and Rafael Leao is the player that's going to come on. Neves to Bruno Fernandes. Ronaldo makes his way forward. It's flicked over the top for him. Is this his moment? No, it's not. Because a sliding challenge comes in from Schomer, inflicted into Ronaldo's chest. And it ricochets the safety for Switzerland and out of play for a goal kick. Bruno Fernandes coming off. Rafael Leao coming on. Portugal's final change being made with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, they'll just be happy just to get over the line now. Don't seem as though they've copped any injuries. Team selection's been the correct one, and they've just come up against a very, very average Swiss side on the day.
Rafael Leao came off the bench to score the winner against Ghana, which was his first international goal. He's scored 6 goals in Serie A this season, and one in the Cups for Milan. And he's on here for just the briefest appearance at the end of the game, but a World Cup round of 16 game under his belt. Xhaka playing it forward. Dalot returns it. Now Rafael Leao has it. Good right-footed ball inside the penalty area, but too high for Ronaldo as it turned out. Got the angle right, beautiful shape on it, and did well to steal a yard on the tiring Rodriguez, but couldn't keep it down, and it goes out of play as a result of that for a throw over on the far touchline, the Swiss right. Okafor trying to get on the end of a long ball forward for a long time. Switzerland just been begging the full-time whistle to be blown here, put them out of their misery. Gonzalo Ramos scoring on 17, Pepe on 33, 2-0 at half-time. The game 4-0, 10 minutes into the second half. Ramos on 51, Guerrero on 55. Kanji pulling one back, side-footing in from a corner on 58, but Ramos completing his hat-trick on his full international debut midway through this second half, and that's how the scoring still stands. 5-1. Switzerland trying to get it forward towards Embolo. Headed away from him by Ruben Neves and brought down on the left-hand side of his penalty area by Ruben Dias. Out of play for a throw that will be taken on the far side. And the Swiss can make another change. Sure, Chishari is absolutely delighted at the opportunity to be able to come on and join this, although he does come on for his World Cup debut. He's the only outfield player in the Swiss squad that hasn't seen any action in this tournament so far. His only previous international appearance in the closing seconds against Czechia back in September. And the 20-year-old makes his World Cup debut replacing Embolo. So defensive midfielder for a striker, but it's just an opportunity to blood the youngster. You never know when your next opportunity might come along. Certainly not for 4 years. Here's Seferovic, the right-hand side of the Portuguese penalty area, working it back to Shaqiri. Shaqiri's ball down towards Rodriguez. Rodriguez playing it back behind square for Shaqiri. He's gone back towards halfway, and Switzerland will just try and build steadily through the midfield. A minute to go. Portugal 5, Switzerland 1. Given away by the Portuguese. A loose touch from Vitinha. Okafor. Rodriguez on the bottom left-hand corner of the box. Checks, threatened to cross with his left foot, cut back inside. It was the fit of Haris Seferovic on the edge of the penalty area for Switzerland. He can't get himself into a position where he might be able to turn and get a shot in. Again, they're looking to break. Dalot leading the charge for Portugal, but Switzerland will be able to mop up. And Xhaka gets a calming foot on the ball to play towards Akanji, and then he gets the return pass immediately. Zakaria turning. Goes to his right, off the form, making a run that was a little bit too early. I think he's offside here, got the shot in, it's deflected away by Pepe, and then the flag does indeed come up. And we're into stoppage time. 4 more minutes of suffering and pain for Switzerland. 4-goal advantage for Portugal, and a place in the last 8 is theirs. Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can ask as a team in the round of 16 or any knockout round is you get through and you have no injuries and it's fairly comfortable physically, and I think they've ticked all those boxes, Portugal tonight, and they might have just uncovered a real young talent that might have an impact in the next 3 games.
4 players featured tonight on yellow cards as well, and none of them close to a sniff of a caution that would rule them out through suspension, so that's another positive for Fernando Santos. And it has been the perfect night for him. Here's Ronaldo, back for Dalot. Dalot to Neves. Neves playing as a sweeper. Goes to his left-hand side for Ruben Dias. Movement down the line on the Portuguese left-hand side. Ronaldo making his way into the middle. Can Rafael Leao deliver? Oh, can he? It's 6. There were 2 waiting for a cross, and he just put a little bit of last-minute whip on it, across the goalkeeper into the bottom right-hand corner from the left-hand side of the penalty area. That sets the seal on a hugely impressive victory. They've laid down a marker tonight. This is the best performance we've seen from Portugal on the world stage for a long, long time. Portugal 6, Switzerland 1.
Well, the goalkeeper just dropped to his haunches as he knew the ball had beaten him, and I don't know whether it took a deflection or he's just a disguise he's put on the ball, Jim, but to flummox a goalkeeper like that is quite incredible. We're just waiting to see a replay of it. It's incredible. He's cut in from the left-hand side, opened the goal up, and well, I don't really know what the goalkeeper was doing. Well, it's not even gone in the corner. It's woeful goalkeeping, gotta say. Good finish, but my goodness. Well, if there was question marks about Sommer for the first goal, there was a massive inquest on that one.
Now is the Sommer of their discontent. He won't be happy with that at all. As you say, ended up going in about 4 yards from the post. Pepe heads the ball over the halfway line. It's brought down by Neves. First time Switzerland have conceded 6 in a match since they lost 8-1 to England in a friendly back in the 60s. Dalot on the right-hand side of the midfield. Portugal 6, Switzerland 1. Rodriguez with a throw for Switzerland. And it's been picked off his toes by Vitinha. Vitinha to Ronaldo. Vitinha right-hand side of the penalty area, but it takes a deflection before he got back to Ronaldo. They get a corner. There's still going to be time to take it as they look for a 7, and they will inevitably look for CR7 to complete the route. Corner to be taken on the Portuguese right. All eyes, and the camera inevitably as well, on Cristiano Ronaldo. It's Vitinha that's going to take it. Ronaldo stands 5 yards from the edge of the 6-yard box. It's in towards him, it's over his head. Switzerland should be able to get it clear relatively comfortably. They get it outside the penalty area. It's toe poke forward towards Seferovic. And a free kick has been given Switzerland's way. No advantage at developing after the initial infringement, which happened as Seferovic initially brought it outside the box. And a free kick spotted down, but there's no time to take it. What a night that is for Portugal. They have blown Switzerland away. Cristiano Ronaldo recast in the role of closer. Gonzalo Ramos makes sure he's one step closer to the ultimate pinnacle towards the end of his career. Ramos making history tonight, doing what Ronaldo's never been able to do. scoring in the knockout stages of a World Cup game, and he added 2 more to become the youngest World Cup hat-trick scorer for 60 years. It was a brave team selection, one that was utterly vindicated by Ramos's brilliance. He had an assist as well. There was a goal for 39-year-old Pepe, one for Guerrero, one for Rafael Leao. The consolation for Switzerland was merely a footnote on a horrible night for them. They've fallen at the round of 16 hurdle again, but much more spectacularly than ever before. Portugal have laid down a marker, not just for this tournament, but also proved they will be life without Cristiano Ronaldo and his Gonzalo Ramos shaped. Portugal 6, Switzerland 1.